We are doing the audio reading of the novel Engaged to be Married, Chapter 8, Travelogue, May 22nd. They have arrived in Lincoln, Nebraska, and it's getting dark. The sugary, sweet voice of a spokeswoman at the train station comes blaring across the intercom, but her friendly tone cannot soften the irritating volume coming out of the speakers. Though the official start of summer is a couple of weeks away, it is not a warm night. It is cold and wet out. The outer deck platform at this station has a flurry of bustling travelers. From heat generated by the train's engine, his skin feels moist and clammy, but he welcomes the warmth. Again, the sweet voice breaks through. "Thank you for traveling with us, and please watch your step as you board or exit the train. We will be leaving in 20 minutes for our next location. Do not forget to visit the dining car as we offer a fine dining experience." The two weary travelers depart the train and go their separate ways. They mingle with others waiting for their connecting trains. Some individuals are picked up by family or friends, and hugs and kisses ensue. Charles is done socializing with anyone and decides to walk further down the platform. He sits on a bench off to the side and notices Emily walking around a group of people, stretching their legs and enjoying time off the train like they are doing themselves. He can see her from where he is, not too sure she is able to see him, or that she even has tried to locate him in the crowd for that matter. Emily smiles broadly as she plops down on an already crowded bench. She squeezes her thin self in between other people. All are occupied with their electronic gadgets, their cell phones, tablets, e-readers. One person is holding a magazine and looks quite vintage, seated there, reading amongst the electronically astute passengers. There's an assortment of carry-on bags pushed closely together at their feet and off to the sides. From his vantage point, Charles watches as she leans over as if to tie her shoe and notices that she doesn't even have shoes that tie. He chuckles, curious to see what she's up to. She sits back up for a moment and then stands, grabs a suitcase as she does, and calmly walks away. The other passengers are so engrossed in their varying types of entertainment that not one of them even looks up or takes notice of this tiny person that had invaded their bench. Emily then nonchalantly walks off down the ramp. She's coming his way, unaware of his presence, acting as inconspicuous as possible. He follows her with his eyes and sees that she mingles in with a group of passengers down the platform from the other group. Well, what do you know? Mysterious Miss Emily is a common thief. Charles is shocked to discover that about her. He pretty much has assumed that she is a vagabond and a street kid. Emily's scheme is to be nowhere near that group of individuals when the call comes to board and they grab their luggage. He can tell that for sure. The last call to board finally comes across the intercom. "Thank you for traveling with us. This is the final call for boarding. Boarding for Denver, Colorado. Last and final call. Watch your step when boarding, please. And again, be sure to try gourmet meals in our dining lounge. Enjoy your trip." He sees Emily getting on the train several cars up ahead. She has turned her jacket inside out, and the reversible lining is brightly covered and has a red rose pattern. She's donned a baseball cap that he hasn't seen before, and that switch-o-change-o routine strikes Charles as very funny. He laughs because he can still easily tell it's her. She's so thin. "Who does she think he's fooling?" he said out loud to himself. He knows the group seated at that bench didn't pay much attention to her, though, so they probably could be fooled. The traveler whose luggage is missing looks both ways up and down the platform. He begins to search for the thief, but Charles bets he's stumped and has no clue who to even look for. For no good reason than he can explain even to himself, Charles decides not to immediately rat her out. He grabs the suitcase and backpack and races behind the group that's boarding the same car as Emily. He steps in. She's made it inside, undetected by the man who is searching for his suitcase. She keeps glancing back to see if anyone is headed her way. She's a little bummed to discover that she grabbed a suitcase that belonged to a man, but she didn't have time to investigate which luggage belonged to which traveler, as she was looking for a generic-looking bag that wouldn't stand out. Emily doesn't see Charles getting on the same train car in the crowd. She goes to the far back seat and plops down. The suitcase is pushed under and barely is visible. Emily then pulls off her jacket and lays it across the suitcase. With her hand, she pushes down the cap low over her face. The wide brim hides her pretty but pale face. Emily dares not even look up. Charles chuckles at her ostrich act. Slowly he makes his way down the aisle, watching her every move. As much as she is trying to remain incognito, no matter what she does, in his estimation, she stands out like a sore thumb. Charles works his way down the seat rows behind the others, moving to the rear of the train car. He finally makes his way down the rows and reaches over and taps her on the brim of her cap, to which she jerks away while softly screaming. He puts his head over her mouth, not wanting to draw attention. Charles smiles, knows she's extremely nervous about her sudden act of thievery. "Oh, it's only you," she whispers. "You startled me." "Better me than him," Charles points out the window. A cop and the traveler are talking. She sinks down in her seat and sighs. "Why, whatever do you mean, sir? Are you following me? Should I be scared?" "Want me to call the cops for you just to be safe?" No, that's not necessary." He smirks. "I guess it isn't, and I can guess why not." "Mind your own business, old man." She can't seem to help her smart mouth. She just naturally exudes insults at Charles. Charles tries his best to make her feel guilt, remorse, or anything that proves she has a conscience, possibly. "Just look at that poor fellow. He seems to have misplaced a precious possession. That cop also seems intent on helping him locate it, too." She whispers, "Don't. Please, do not call the cops." Emily sinks down in the seat. She places the cap over her face, resituating it to gain the best camouflage. "Who did you steal that hat from? And I couldn't help but notice that you now have luggage. How mysterious is that? It has just appeared by your side." Charles taps the jacket over top the suitcase. "And it's all your fault, too," Emily whispers. "What? Wow, now I've heard everything." Charles continues to be surprised by her odd words. "How am I in the least responsible for your criminal actions of swiping another person's luggage?" "You forced me to do this," Emily defends herself. He cannot believe what he's hearing, or that she has the power to get him so riled. The thought occurs to Charles that these interactions with Emily kind of makes him feel alive. When he interacts with Lynette, he always feels numb, controlled. But the accusation she's now making towards him has actually made him angry. "Now, come on, you can't be serious. You got on this car to what? To warn me or to turn me in?" She has to know, because she might have to make a run for it and needs to find an escape plan. "You are a real piece of work, you know that? How can you steal a person's bag, his personal private property, and then have the nerve to say it's all my fault?" "A person's personal private property. Try saying that 3 times fast," she nervously giggles. "Okay, kiddo, what's up?" Emily again defends her actions. "You, mister, you made me feel conspicuous. It's all you. Made me think others would wonder why I'm traveling light without any luggage. So you being curious forced me to take action. So you're obviously now hiding from the traveler, but what else and who else are you hiding from?" Charles gets in a pointed question. "Running away from something else you did that was against the law?" She looks down, pretty sure she can't trust him. Not with the whole truth. Besides, she doesn't even want to talk about it. He looks away to give her time to mull over his inner interrogation before she answers. They've lost sight of the passenger and the cop. As he sits there staring out the window, looking for the victim, he hopes they don't catch up to Emily. Charles kicks himself, wondering why he has gotten so involved and why he bothers with an obviously wayward young female. The man finally boards the car ahead of them right before the train pulls out. They both breathe a sigh of relief. Then both smile at each other like they are co-conspirators in a crime. Charles does feel a little guilty, not simply returning the suitcase to the man, irregardless of turning Emily in. Emily wonders why he didn't rat her out. She is glad he apparently seems to be on her side for the moment. Charles is not sure what to do about an awkward mess that Emily believes he has caused. One he has definitely gotten himself smack dab in the middle of. He feels that he really needs to learn more about her before he makes a decision on how to proceed concerning the luggage. Long ago, it was his grandfather who had instructed Charles to hold his peace and to weigh all sides and find the deeper reasons for folks doing a certain thing. Determining to do something to rectify the state of limbo he is placed in at the moment, he attempts the old reverse psychology approach in dealing with Emily. You know, never mind. I don't think I want to know a thing about you after all. I really don't. I might be hauled into court and forced to testify at some point in the future, and that would mess with my life and my schedule. It'd just be too inconvenient. Whatever. She's relieved that he's wanting to let it go. Besides, any smart person would know they are so much more conspicuous this way. Emily looks down and checks herself over. Wait, what? What way? You just stole something, and they will keep looking for you, for it. Basically, while confined on this train, you have painted yourself into a proverbial corner. See what you've done? Emily lets out another sigh and begins to sniffle again. She fumbles inside the suitcase for a tissue or something to wipe her nose on. She throws up her hands. Of course not. People just don't know how to pack. Question. Did you intend to grab a man's suitcase? Charles chuckles and shakes his head. Emily chooses to ignore the question. How about you? I bet you were smart and packed tissues. A handkerchief, maybe? I did indeed. Here, blow your brains out. Charles tries to lighten the mood. Emily's face turns pale white as she begins to sob at that crude suggestion. He has gone and done it again. Unknowingly, he has offended her when he never intended to. It's just an old phrase. I'm sorry. I didn't know it would bother you so much. She tries to stop crying as she comes out with yet another off-the-wall comment. Hey, got any scissors on you? And trade me bags, won't you? What? Why? The suitcases are nearly identical. She pleads with him and bats her eyes. His eyes grow wide. No trading. And if I did have scissors, anyone but you would be allowed to have them. I do not even know what to do with you or what you would plan to do with them. Scissors is one item, not two. It and it. Scissors is an it, not a them. Let me hazard a guess. You moonlight as an English teacher by night, and your regular job by day is a thief. That's more than a little mixed up. Why do you want scissors? Emily puts up 2 fingers and pulls at her short, stubby hair and pretends her fingers are a pair of scissors. No and no to answer those questions. And I want to cut my hair, silly. There is no point in trading bags. I will not be caught with stolen merchandise. But Emily pleads, please, please. Emily pleads with him. Not on your life. It is not your suitcase to trade anyway, and this is not a good place to cut your hair. Besides, it's kind of really short already. As good a place as any, Charlie. Nope. Well, my hair has been much shorter than this. Much shorter, like non-existent shorter. Oh. Charlie has always been confused by people that change their hair and choose extreme hairstyles. She is irritated with him and herself. He's caused her to give up one of her little secrets, although she doesn't think he understands her reason behind the choice of non-existent hair. Emily takes off the cap and turns it around the right way. She then reaches down inside the suitcase, finds a pair of brightly colored socks, slips them up over her feet, and then her shoes go back on. Charles can tell by her purple toes that she is freezing cold, though it is not that cold inside the train car. He reaches down in his own backpack, pulls out a pair of his socks, and hands his over to her. You should wear these. Those that you have on will draw that victimized soul right to you like a moth to a flame. Well, okay, thanks. She nods and sniffles a little. Then, to his surprise, Emily puts his pair of socks up to her nose and takes a whiff before putting the socks on. Charles shakes his head, again insulted. Emily noticed him looking at her with an offended look on his face. Embarrassed, she whispers, barely loud enough for him to hear, "They smell like your cologne." Charles doesn't reply, frankly because he doesn't know how to. "Why did you ever talk to me in the first place, anyway?" Emily asks. Correction. You're the one who communicated with me first." "Ha, I so did not. You said that you shouldn't lose your train ticket, remember? You threw your phone away and then said, and I quote, 'and that's how it's done.'" Charles is certain that he's won that point for that round. "And then you chickened out," she retorts. "Touché," he had to concede. "I'm the gutsy one. You're the chicken Hold on there, smart mouth. Admit it. Who did actually speak initially?" Emily doesn't listen. She's now gone on to something else. "So who is she, huh, Charlie, old man? Who is the girl you said goodbye to?" Charles grabs the suitcase and looks it over. Except for a couple of small differences, it could be his suitcase. "Have you ever been to counseling? Because you seem to have a strong tendency to change subjects to avoid answering tough questions." "Seriously?" "Seriously. Have you ever been to counseling, Em?" "Ha ha ha. And you are the one who just changed the subject." "I'm quite serious here about counseling. You should try it sometime." Back to my question. Who is she, Charlie?" "Who is whom?" "Your girlfriend, or you're engaged, but not happily so?" He glares at Emily, then looks away. "Yes." Charlie concedes again. "How are you able to just look at me and tell that I'm engaged? I could have been recently divorced. I could be a confirmed bachelor. I could be anybody. But you aren't. You aren't any of those, are you, Charlie?" "No." He has to do a lot of conceding today. "So you're engaged to be married, but you're scared, really scared. Enough so to run the other way. Got cold feet syndrome?" Amazing intuition. He shakes her finger at her. He shakes a finger at her. "Not really. It's elementary, my dear Watson," she adds, chuckling. "Oh, a pretty lucky guess." They both chuckle. "Am I that obvious?" Oddly enough, he feels comfortable exposing secrets to this young, weird stranger. Charles had planned to mysteriously wow those of the opposite sex, not vulnerable, and let them see his flaws or his secrets so easily. Not be vulnerable or let them see his flaws or secrets so easily. Emily taps her fingernails on the window. "You just have to look at yourself. You have the look of a guy who is running the other way as fast as he is able to, or who is riding off into the sunset, as your case may be. And I did overhear some of that phone conversation, you know." "I'm not necessarily running away. I was trying to run towards... His voice trails off. Charles has made himself believe he was finding himself. Emily nailed him again. RUNNING, very self-explanatory. Definitely running, but from what? And who knows what tomorrow might place in your path? What might you run right smack dab into?" Charles squirms. He eyes her suspiciously. Emily stares back at him. She nods her head up and down in the affirmative. He can't stand for her to have figured him out so quickly, so easily. To think he was cleverly trying to draw her out in the open, but she has nailed his hide to the wall. What happened? What did you do? Charles again squirms. And now he clams up. When it's my weirdness he's all blah 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 about, but when it's about his jerkiness, the man is at a total loss for words. There's nothing more to be said, Charles whimpers. I felt like my life had reached a dead end. Emily looks away. Same here. She regroups. Hey, look, I've been there, too, sort of, if you can believe that. Charles asks, and why would it be so difficult to believe a thief who would be on the run? The look of hopelessness on her face nearly makes Charles wish he'd cut out his tongue before saying crude remarks to her. Again, sorry, that was wrong, so wrong. I don't even know your situation. I'm not a jilted bride-to-be. That title goes to your girl. And Emily is right on again. True, he answers. He can tell she doesn't want to relive what he's guessing was an awful moment of rejection, possibly from a guy who was once close to her. So, what happens now? Emily doesn't answer. She begins to rummage through the suitcase once again. It floors Charlie to see that she has just claimed it as her own. She pulls out peanut butter crackers and begins to devour them, popping a whole one into her mouth all at once. He wonders when it was last that she had eaten. By the looks of her, he figures she must not get to eat very often. Hey, I want to make it up to you, all of my crude remarks. Why don't I buy you a decent meal? Lunch is on me, in the dining car. She looks around and points to the train. Where else would you take me to eat? Right, smarty pants, let's go. Save the crackers for later, or maybe for the owner of that suitcase. Must I, Daddy? It will ruin my lunch, do you say? Just come on. They head towards the dining car. A porter comes up the aisle. Emily thrusts the small suitcase into Charles' hands. She nods at him with a pleading glance. Here, quick, take this. They are looking for a girl, not a guy. Without any protesting, Charlie does as she asks, but now he definitely feels like an accomplice. He sighs. I offered to buy you dinner, and you make me your partner in crime. What a bold person you are. Oh, yeah? You are the hardened criminal here, old man, stealing your love away on this train from your fiancé. Ouch. Charlie drops his head. That's the end of Chapter 8 of Engaged to be Married.